Okay. Now, Mr. Matos, at
Yes, sir.
any given time, okay, now explain to me. We had a conversation, and you was telling me about the flies that were all came into the where the bodies were. What was that like? All those big blowflies.
Oh, it was a nightmare. This was probably the creepiest experience ever. Once the flies came, there must have been thousands of them, and it sounds like I was standing under a power line. That hum that you hear when you're under a power line, it sounded just like that, but it was intensified. Yeah, it was horrible, and there was maggots all over, and it was the most horrifying experience ever.
Wow. Okay. Now I want to take it back a little bit again to the van when you pulled into the little dirt road, the abandoned road, and you were getting rid of the bodies. How long did that take you to discard of those 4 bodies that was in the van?
Probably 30 minutes.
30 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, it took less time taking them out than it did getting them in.
Now, those bodies at the time, were they starting to swell up, and the skin? I'm quite sure the skin was like real slippery, and
Oh yeah.
the odor was there. Did you have gloves, or you did this with your bare hands and was getting all that bodily fluids on your hands and everything?
I believe I used some type of work gloves or something to get a good grip because they were slimy, they were bloated, and decomposing. The smell was horrible, and as I took them out, I had to, use all my energy to pull them out of the vehicle and bring them over onto the grass off the road. So it was exhausting. It was hot outside. It was at the peak of summer, so it was hot. It was nighttime, but it was still hot, and I was sweating a lot. It was horrible.
Okay. Yeah, I'm quite sure it was okay. Now, when you took the bodies out, did you stack them on top of each other, side by side, or did you leave them out in the open, or did you drag them over to the side so no one could see them, or you just left them out in the open?
It was off the road, like close to the bushes, where it was at a spot you really couldn't see it if you were walking by. So I stacked them next to each other, and then I think I put like a big branch on top of them, kind of to like hide them a little bit. And as I'm doing this, I'm losing my mind. This whole experience is just like it's just devastating, and it just tore my mind apart. As I'm doing this, it's the most it's just a crazy situation to be in. And I was losing my mind, going insane, doing this because I couldn't leave them in the house. And it's just what do you do in a situation like that? I guess just get them out the house so Tristan wouldn't have to see them. And getting them out of the house was the only thing I could do to stop Tristan from seeing them and from the smell of getting worse. And it was a horrible experience. It was a nightmare.
Okay. Now, Mr. Matos, it's only one of the victims I'm concerned about. as you were removing the bodies out of the vehicle or into the vehicle, and you got to Megan's body,
Yeah.
what was that like for you? This is a woman that you
It
love, you had a child with, and
it
was
it
hoping to marry.
it tore me to pieces. It took every bit of energy to 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 go through with moving all of them, but especially her. It took all my energy, and it tore me apart. I was so heartbroken from the situation, and what I did. I just felt terrible. My heart was broken, and all I did was cry. Like every moment of each day, I just poured my heart out in tears, and I couldn't stop thinking about her. Even after the situation, I felt like she was gonna come back home and just walk in the door, and I would just know that it was all a nightmare. And I just kept hoping that it was a nightmare. Each day that I woke up, I was praying that it was a nightmare. All that was just and it wasn't. It was a horrible, sad reality. And when I first had to move her in the house, I just broke down and started crying, and I sat there next to her, just holding her and just crying and crying and crying and crying and just asking God why did this happen? And I love her very much. I'll always love her, no matter what happened. Even though they try to murder me, I still love her. And I've learned to forgive. Hate is a terrible thing to have in your heart, and it'll tear you apart. It'll destroy you if you allow it to. And I learned to forgive them. I learned to forgive her, for the betrayal, for trying to murder me, everything that she did to me. I learned to forgive her because it was the only way my heart could be free.
Now, when you say that you sat next to her body and you held her deceased body, was this the night of you killing her, or was this during the decomposing stages of her body?
No, it was the first night that this all happened, and after everything was done, I just I couldn't believe that all that happened in one day. It was just like, what the hell? What the hell is going on? I didn't plan for any of this to happen. All this was just a unfortunate event. And it was a nightmare. And when it was when it was over, it was like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on? One, the day before, we're all sitting down eating a meal together, and the next day there's no one to have a meal with except me and Tristan. And the silence in the house was just, it was so creepy, because the house used to be filled with people moving around and talking and laughing and listening to music, and now there was nothing but silence.
So, Mr. Matos, when you got to Nicholas' body, okay, of just moving it, did you feel any remorse for him, or did you was just pretty much like, screw you, all of this is because of you, or what was your actions like when you got to his body to remove his body?
As far as Nicholas goes, he's just a dude that didn't use his brain. He was thinking with he was thinking with his dick instead of his brain, and he put himself in a situation which he shouldn't have. You know, he made a bad choice by trying to come to my home and murder me. You know, this guy didn't even know me. He didn't even know her. Why would you go through all the trouble to try to murder me for some woman you don't even know? So as far as I'm concerned, you know, he's the villain. You know what I mean? He's the villain of this catastrophe. You know, he should have never come to my home with a loaded weapon. He should have never tried to murder me. And if he would have never brought his weapon to my house, these people would still be alive. I would have went back home, collected my things, talked to Megan, said sorry, said bye to Tristan, and said, hey, you know, maybe later down the road we could be a family again. But that didn't happen because this fucking guy was in my home and he tried to murder me. You know what I mean? He's the reason for this. And as far as remorse goes, you know, I really don't feel any remorse for him. You know, but was it unfortunate that he died? Yeah, it was unfortunate, but it was his fault that he brought this upon himself and upon everyone.
So at the end of the day, would you say Nicholas got what he had coming to him?
Well, I don't know if I would say it like that, but you know, you reap what you sow. You know, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Now here's. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you. Go ahead.
You know, I didn't ask him to come to my home with his loaded weapon. You know what I mean? I wouldn't go to another woman's house with a loaded weapon if she just had an argument with her dude. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go into that situation and make it worse by doing that. You know, I'm going to say, look, you know what I mean? Handle your business, and when you handle your business, come talk to me. You know what I mean? If things don't work out with you and your dude, and you go separate ways, and you want to talk to me down the road, maybe we could work something out. But I'm not going to come to her house and try to, you know, play the hero by bringing my loaded weapon. You know, it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, you know, anybody in the right state of mind would be like, you know, that's probably not going to turn out right. You know, I'm probably going to escalate the situation. What if this guy comes home? You know, collect his stuff, say goodbye to his son. You know, what's going to happen if, you know, we have a confrontation? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Now,
I'm sure he knew all these possibilities, and he put himself in that situation, and he knew where it was going to lead.
Okay. Now, at the end of the day, did the police ever retrieve the handgun you used, which was a Kel-Tec 9mm? Did they ever find that gun, or you disposed of it?
No, I don't think it was a 9mm. It was like it was a smaller caliber. I want to say, I can't remember the caliber, but it was a much smaller caliber. It wasn't a 9mm.
Possibly a 380?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it was a 380.
Okay. Did they ever retrieve that gun, or did they ever find it? I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, they retrieved it?
They found it in the canal behind the house. I threw all the firearms in the canal. I think that same night, because I was just so devastated by what these firearms could do. I didn't want them in the house anywhere near Tristan. You know, like these guns are you know, they were danger to everyone in the house, and I already witnessed what guns could do. I didn't want them anywhere near Tristan, so I took all the weapons and got them as out of reach of Tristan or anyone else, and I threw them in the canal.
Okay. It was written that you used one of the victim's credit cards to order pizza. Is that true,
Yeah.
Mr. Matos?
Yes, I believe I used Margaret's credit card to order pizza because I didn't have any cash on me. My check was at my job, and I couldn't pick it up at that time, and so I had to feed Tristan, so I used her credit card to order pizza.
Okay. How
And
many? Go ahead.
I wasn't in the right state of mind while this was all going on, but making sure that he was fed and taken care of, was my main concern. So I ordered a pizza. It was quick, and I really didn't want people coming to the house, but getting Tristan fed quickly was my main concern. And I wasn't in the right state of mind to go in the kitchen and start cooking a meal and all that. So I ordered a pizza. It was quick, it was easy, and Tristan loved pizza. He loves pizza.
Okay.